the window of opportunity is closing, and we have to act. We should have acted way long ago, but now is the time to act. The epicenter of Islamic radical terror is Tehran.
You have been very tough on the idea of it's time to hit Iran. When you and I were last together was last fall, you spoke at an epicenter briefing with our organizations, All Israel News and the Joshua Fund. And you were pretty clear then, and in the days that followed, you kept saying what you were saying to us in California, which is it's time to hit Iran. That was last fall. And how are you feeling about, President Trump is now telling Prime Minister Netanyahu, don't attack Iran. Did we miss a window?
Well, the window of opportunity is closing, and we have to act. We should have acted way long ago, but now is the time to act. And I want to explain this. The epicenter of Islamic radical terror is Tehran, the Islamic Republic of Tehran. And it's been this octopus sending its arms all across the world, all across the Middle East, and creating these proxies that hit and kill Israelis and kill Americans and just kill anyone who doesn't want to become Muslim. And what Israel did over the past year was take out its air defense systems and two of its main proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, which are dramatically diminished. So if you will, it's like being in a boxing match and your opponent right now, his hands are tied finally. Now is the time for the knockout. Okay. And this should have been done between Biden and Trump during that short period of a couple of months.
Because Biden told Netanyahu, don't do it.
I know, but at the end of the day, if you're an Israeli prime minister, your utmost, and I would say, the key consideration is the security and existence of the state of Israel. And we very much respect former President Biden, but at the end of the day, we need to defend our people. It's us who are living here. It's us who are fighting all these crazy Islamistic terrorists, not Biden. And that was a really big opportunity that was missed. But I think still we need to act.
So this will help evangelicals understand you and who you are, what your values are. Because, again, you said it with me in September. You said it on CNN and throughout the fall. It's time to hit. It's time to hit. If there's ever, it's not like we're not starting a war. We're trying to end a war.
We keep on fighting the tentacles of this octopus instead of hitting its head.
So what is your assessment of why Prime Minister Netanyahu didn't do the knockout punch, when this has been his main theme for 15, 20 years?
I don't know. In many cases, people divorce their words from their actions. This was too important to have missed out on it. It's existential. And you'd have to ask him. What I do know is that the opportunity still exists, even if it's tougher than it was, say, 7 months ago. But we have to act. I was a prime minister. I sat at that chair. I sat at that table. And the supreme and key consideration, especially for the prime minister of the Jewish state, and as prime minister, was the existence of Israel. I don't know of many other countries whose existence is being threatened. Very few. France is not threatened. America's existence is not threatened. Sweden or
maybe Taiwan and Israel might be the only two that
correct.
I can.
That's correct.
Ukraine, of course.
Yeah. And people want to wipe out the Jewish state. And when you're prime minister, that's the main thing that I wake up with and go to sleep at night with, that we have to ensure the security of the 10 million Israelis living here.
Obviously, you can't go into any classified details, but as prime minister, former prime minister, and as a former defense minister, can Israel do this job alone if the United States chooses not to help?
Yes.
And would we?
Well, would we depends on leadership. Can we? Yes.
President Trump recently made his first official foreign visit, aside from the funeral of the Pope, came to the Middle East. Didn't come to Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. But I will tell you that a lot of evangelicals are getting anxious. Most evangelicals, the vast majority, support President Trump. They believe he's been a great president on a lot of our issues, including, and most importantly in some ways, being the most pro-Israel president in American history. So there's a lot of trust there. But American evangelicals are getting nervous by where is the president going on these negotiations with Iran? Why is he telling the Netanyahu government, Netanyahu himself, don't get in my way, don't take any military action? And there's conflicting signals between Steve Witkoff and the president. The president himself said he wasn't sure whether he would allow Iran to enrich uranium, but then he said that no, that definitely not. But then Witkoff said maybe 3.65 or so. Israelis are getting nervous too. Where's the president going? What's your assessment of President Trump's approach on Iran? Is it getting you nervous?
Well, first of all, let's remember, President Trump has been amazing towards the people of Israel, the state of Israel, the Jewish people. He had the guts to recognize Jerusalem as our capital, which it is. It's been that way for about 3,000 years. Right. But he was the first American president that not only promised, but delivered.
Right, they all said they would do it.
He moved the embassy from the Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Tel Aviv is not our capital. Jerusalem is our capital. He recognized the Golan Heights. No one else had the guts to do that.
As sovereign Israeli territory.
Sovereign Israeli territory, which it is. Imagine if we had now Julani and all that mess on the Sea of Galilee and not up in the Golan Heights. So first of all, on behalf of the Israeli people, we are grateful to President Trump. First and foremost, make no mistake. Now, there are differences.
And he also ripped up the Iran nuclear deal that Obama and Biden did, which he said was the worst deal in history.
And you know what else he did? He killed Soleimani, which was the architect of the whole...
The top Iranian terrorist.
That's right, number one Iranian terrorist.
So that's why he had so much trust in the bank.
Yeah, right. And we don't forget that, and I won't forget that. Right now, I do think, however, that Iran is in such an unstable state that with enough pressure, we could see a whole new regime come there. And it's wobbling. It's very, very old leadership, disconnected from the people, incompetent, corrupt, cruel. And women, and it's sort of like reminiscent of the Soviet Union of the late 80s. It's going to collapse sooner or later. And now we just need to give that little shove. And that's what, if I were Prime Minister of Israel, that's what I would try and get America together. We don't need America to go to war with Iran. Israel is at war with Iran. Iran's been punching us for ages. We gave 2 small punches back, but that's not nearly enough. At the end of the day, it's Israel's responsibility to ensure our security. And I think no American president, certainly not President Trump, would deny Israel of our right to defend ourselves.
Yeah, do you see a scenario, do you see a deal that you could say, oh, well, okay, I didn't see that deal. If Trump is able to get that deal and he can enforce it, I can be okay with that. I mean, you can.
One that totally dismantles their nuclear program and verifies that and has no end date, no expiration date to the deal, what's called the sunset clause. One that tells them to stop all their mischief and terror in the region. That sort of deal would be great.
Unless, okay, so I agree with you, except that I can't see the scenario in which when President Trump says, and then we'll lift the sanctions, and because that will strengthen the very regime.
Yeah,
we'll accomplish what we want,
right.
but we'll open up the door for it to be worse later if this regime gets rich. That worries me. I don't want this regime to be in power at all.
It's a valid point because you have a very weak, feeble body right now, and you don't want to inject it with new blood, with $200 billion worth of money that would. But at the end of the day, still, if we had those two pieces of totally dismantling and verifying there's no more nuclear program, and without any deadline, it goes on forever, and stop the terror.
You would take it.
I would take it, definitely.
And say, we'll deal with the regime later, but we got what we needed.
Yeah, because ultimately, I don't wake up in the mornings thinking how I could change a regime in Iran. I think how I can secure Israel in the region.
Right.
And that sort of deal, the one I said, but it's full dismantling of the whole thing, just blow the whole thing up, that would be a good deal.